Hey, what's up? Eric here. Welcome to My Endurance Life. If you're new to the channel, I encourage you to subscribe so you never miss a video like this. Today's video is a replay of our interview with Dean Karnazes. I invited Dean in to come and share with the My Endurance Life team. The My Endurance Life team is the group coaching athletes and one-on-one athletes that I'm blessed to coach with along their trail and ultra running journey. And one of the ways I believe that they can really excel their trail and ultra running like goals and get there faster than they ever thought is by getting to talk with athletes and legends of sports, people like Dean, where we learn over 3 decades of trail and ultra running, through his knowledge and through his experiences, his stories. There's just so much to get out of him. And so if you want to join the team, go to myendurancelife.com, click on the tab that says join the team. I also have tons of other resources there. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching with me, you can click on the coaching tab. Also, if you are new to ultra running and you want to become an ultra runner, I have a Becoming Ultra series there that you can grab, take a look at it. I encourage you. It's probably one of the first steps that you want to take if you're brand new to this. But with that being said, I encourage you to watch this all the way to the end, because after we interview Dean, he goes into a Q&A with our team members, and some of the questions that our team members dropped will just really help you along your journey. Some of the stuff that he shares is just super neat to listen to, and then learn how you can run with Dean in Greece. So with that being said, check out the video and leave a comment. Let me know if you liked it. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Uh, Super excited to have Dean here. And I'm sure all of us have had, some kind of interaction with Dean, whether it's through his books or through social media, or he's been on some major podcasts and media outlets over the years. So he really doesn't need an introduction, but it's just super excited to have you here, Dean. I know everybody is excited to have you. And so I thought, because we've had so many other athletes on here, just, ultra marathon runners and stuff like that, that we've had insight on just like running tips and, how to's kind of. I was thinking we'd take a different direction and just learn through, 3 decades of running uh, how you've been able to apply all the struggles, everything you've gone through in your personal life, outside, like how it's grown you as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband, and, just because I think so. I heard this, the four pillars of P is um, purpose, physical, professional, and man, I can't remember the fourth one, but they all tie back to physical. And if you want a well-rounded personal life, if you want a well-rounded professional life, and you find your purpose, it all goes back to physical. And so I thought that was pretty neat. And just as old endurance athletes, we strive so much and learn so much through the pain and the struggle of doing what we do, and it just grows us as people. So just, yeah, if you want to take a couple minutes and share just some of the stuff that you might not have put in your books, or just like we don't, you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'll start by saying that I'm in Athens, Greece. So you probably haven't had a guest on from Athens, Greece before. But I grew up in Southern California in San Clemente. You can see I've got my vest on, and I don't know if you can see the medal, but I
Yeah.
I ran a 25K, 21K race today.
Oh, neat.
And the thing I've learned, being Greek, I'm 100% Greek, and I studied classics as well. I don't write a lot about this in my books, but some of the things that the ancient philosophers talked about, are points you brought up. I mean, Pythagoras, in the West we say Pythagoras. You probably remember the Pythagoras theorem from calculus or geometry. He said through suffering, understanding. So you don't understand who you are. You don't learn about what you're made of until you push yourself. And an ultra marathon does that. It gives you a glimpse into what you're made of. And I think that's one of the reasons we love it. I mean, we confront our vulnerabilities, our weaknesses, our limitations, and an ultramarathon is a chance for both redemption and for renewal. So and being back to physical. I mean, Aristotle his class, when he taught students, they were called the peripatetics or the wanderers, because he basically said, I'm not going to teach people in the classroom because you don't learn anything sitting on on your bottom. And he taught his lessons while he was walking around. So I love that. I wish more schools would adopt that kind of to modern day learning. But so much of what we're discussing comes back to ancient Greece, and it's just great being here because I get to apply kind of the modern learnings that we're all experiencing with the ancient.
Yeah, that's super neat. Um, so I I went on a run yesterday, and so I re-listened to your first book, Ultra Marathon Man, and just the experience you had going through Western states, just was an extreme experience, and just how you were able to persevere through it. And I was wondering, like, through all the races you've done, has any one particular race like stuck out the most as far as like struggles or highs, lows, like when you look back at just all the races you've done, like any races in particular like stick out?
How long is this interview really gonna last? Because yeah, no, I mean, I once ran 50 marathons in all of the 50 US states in 50 days. And that was just so protracted. I mean, I remember finishing marathon 19 in Phoenix, Arizona, just completely trashed, thinking, I'm not even going to get out of bed tomorrow morning, let alone run 31 more marathons in 31 days. So I think that was a grueling test. That was back in 2006. Now you hear about these people doing these kind of things. It's almost commonplace, but back then it was kind of novel, and it wasn't just running 26, 50 marathons, 26 miles every day, 26.2. It was getting in a bus, and driving for 8 hours to the next state. So it was beyond running. It was, the travel, the grueling travel, the pressure of knowing that, every morning you got to get up and get to the starting line and run a race. So that one really sticks out. I did a 250-kilometer 6-day race across the Atacama Desert in South America and Chile, and it was self-supported. So you had to carry
Hmm.
everything you needed in your pack, and that was really tough because in the day it was getting up over 100 degrees, and at night it was below freezing, and you're basically sleeping on rocks. And Atacama is the driest place on earth. So, I asked the guy, when was the last time it rained here? He said, well, it hasn't. And I said, Since when?" He said, well, since we've been keeping records, it's never rained here.
Wow.
So it was like a moonscape. And, to be out there in the desert like that for 6 days, without a shower,
Mhm.
eating, basically freeze-dried food, astronaut food, that was pretty grueling too.
Yeah. How did you so if it doesn't rain out there, you can't get any water from streams or anything. So how do you did they have water drops, or did you have to carry enough water for yourself?
No, they gave you there were depots along the way,
Okay.
and at night they gave you water you can cook with. So there were stoves as well, so you could heat your space your food, and as well they put up a tent, so you got to sleep in a tent with 8 other people, and which was not so easy either. You're freezing, people are farting and burping in the middle of the night. You don't know where it's coming from, but you didn't sleep very well at night either.
Yeah. Um uh along Julie's been such a big part of your running life, especially in the early stages. How did she cope with crewing you, being away from you, stuff like that? Has she grown, or did she grow through it, watching you and experiencing it through you?
Yeah, I mean she's very independent, thankfully. So she's like me, I guess, in a sense that when I'd be gone for weeks at a time, she was okay by herself. And it's a special person that is comfortable being alone. And I think that, when you're running ultra marathons and when you're traveling, time traveling, if your partner's it's either going to bring you closer together or it's going to ruin the relationship. So I think, everyone listening to this is probably nodding their heads like, you know that your relationships are very polarizing when you start doing endurance sports. It's either going to go one of two ways. They're either, your partner's either going to accept what you do and maybe do it with you, or this, the relationship won't last.
Mhm. Yeah. So my wife is my crew. And so when we do the big races, it's like, it's always like I sign up for another race. She's like, really? And then it's like, okay, like where are we going this time? And so it's kind of neat. Like, and then watching her like grow along with me is like the more and more I learn about running and racing and about my body. And then she's able to like read me coming into like the aid stations and be like, okay, you need this, okay. Or you need like a kick in the butt and back out there. And it's just really neat, like watching me and her grow together through the struggles. Because I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it with with your wife and with your crew. Like they're up as long as you are. If you're running, like they might get a 20-minute nap here and there, but they're actually doing an endurance sport, just trying to crew you.
Well, it's funny. My main crew are my parents.
Mm,
And we've been along on this ride since 1992 when I did my first ultra. They were I wrote about it in my first book, Ultra Marathon Man. They were there in
hmm
1994 when I ran Western States the first time, and they've been with me ever since. And my most recent book is called The Runner's High, and I talk about my dad crewing for me and how loyal he is, and also getting older. I mean, my parents, they're in their 80s, and seeing them slowing down and not being able to crew for me, I just want to take them out and, bring them to my next ultra. And, it's never going to be, it's like, I think it's maybe harder for me to realize that that era is over. They can't do it anymore, but they still live vicariously through my exploits. I mean, I'm going to call them today and tell them, oh, I ran this 25-kilometer run up in the mountains in Greece, and they'll be so happy.
Yeah. Do they
Mm.
ever come out and visit you much out there?
Yeah, yeah, they're like I said, they're both 100% Greek as well.
Mhm.
So they've traveled all over Greece. We've done lots of adventures in Greece, both just traveling and racing. They've supported me in a couple of races.
Oh, neat. Super.
Mm.
How about your kids? Did they ever get into running?
Yeah, they did. I mean, yeah, I ran a half marathon with my daughter, Alexandria, and I ran a marathon with my son, Nicholas, and then a 50K with him.
Oh, cool.
Uh, they don't really like to race so much. They're not into the racing scene, but they very much enjoy running, just I think for mental health and just, the joy that running brings to us.
Mhm. Um, so you once ran, uh, okay, mentally mental struggles with because doing a trail race and an ultra race, you can often keep yourself, inspired and motivated just because of, where you are. Like, just the mountains and everything you want and going from checkpoint to checkpoint, keep it going. How did you run for 48 hours on a treadmill?
Oh God. I don't know. That's my version of hell as well. It was a fundraiser. I kept telling myself, "You're doing it for a good cause. You're doing it for a good cause." But that was, yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I
Every time
didn't
I
go
hear
out
that, it's like,
on a comment more on that. I mean, I think I ran 215 miles in 48 hours, and I didn't move an inch. I was still in
yeah.
the same. Mm.
Uh, so, as far as moving forward, because you're 62 now, um, you're fit physically. Like, how do you feel fit? Do you, I mean, you're not 30 anymore. But you move every day. And I've often heard, like in all the podcasts that I've listened to with you in, that you try not to sit down. So do you still stay true to that? Do you still do your hip
You can see,
exercises
right?
and
I'm standing up now. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think I was
Yeah, no,
listening.
I do all my writing. I've got a stand-up desk. I do all my writing standing up. I do hit training throughout the course of the day. So, short, like 10 or 12-minute hit training,
Mhm.
uh, always. So, and, as well as my diet's good. I try to optimize my sleep. I think that I try to view myself through the lens of being the best animal I can be. So that means, watching what I put in my mouth, keeping moving, as we talked about, moving, physical exercise, not just running. I mean, cross training as well. So I do a lot of upper body stuff. I do Spartan races as well, which are, obstacle course races. So that requires a little bit more upper body than just running. But I think that the more you stand, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
I used to be exhausted sitting in a chair at a desk all day, and once I you know s- started standing up, I have so much more energy.
Do you own a car?
No, I don't. I don't. It's funny. I haven't owned a car in over a decade, and now with Uber, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Before I used to have to run everywhere, but yeah, no, I don't own a car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you were on Rich Roll, and I was listening to him and how you would say you would run back and forth to the grocery store, because you didn't have a car. And I was like, wow.
I have different size packs. No, I've
Yeah.
learned. There's a farmer's market I go to, and I know exactly what size pack to take.
Um, so what's on the horizon for you? Do you have any, well, obviously you're going to be racing, but any larger events, any charities you're working for in 2025?
I do some charity work always. I was on the board of Girls on the Run. I'm no longer on the board. That my term is over. But I started a running touring company called Greek Running Tours. So it's a way for people to come to Greece and experience Greece on foot. Instead of like a package deal in a tour bus or whatever. If you're a runner and you want to come see the best places in Greece, sign up for Greek running tours. We have 3 tours in different locations. And I say running, I mean it's shuffling. It's more a cultural experience. I mean, I think the longest run is 11 kilometers, so just over like 7 miles, but it's over the 6 or 7 hours. And we're stopping and having food along the way. We're having some ouzo. It's really fun, and we stay at like these really nice hotels, and there's massage services every night. So it's not really hardcore running. It's more just foot tourism.
Okay. Man, I can't remember what book it was, but you were describing the olives the first time you went to Greece, and how you pulled over the side of the road. It was one of the best. Are the olives on your tour?
Oh yeah, I mean the best food. The thing is, now that I've been to Greece so many times, I know all the best places to go. I know the best sites to see, the best restaurants to stop at, the best olives, the best wine. Yeah, yeah.
So compared to America, um, what would you say like how is the running culture in Greece compared to America?
It's funny. The marathon started in Greece, and you think Greece would be very progressive, but Greece is very behind. There's still a lot of like gender identity issues here. I think like when you run a trail race, like a half marathon trail race in the U.S., it's almost half women, half men. In Greece, it's still only about 10% women. So women still are in the role of being a wife and a mother, and that's kind of it. So it's a little backwards compared to the U.S. in that regard. The other thing is that the Greeks are really good runners, and they don't no one identifies themselves like as a runner. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I run," and I'll say, "Well, when was your last run?" "Oh, I did the Athens Marathon." "And what was your time?" "Oh, I was like 2:45." But they don't think of themselves as a runner. Like,
Wow.
that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, there's not that in the U.S. there's kind of the mid-pack runner that just loves to do a marathon and they're finishing in 4.5, 5 hours. In Greece, there's none of that. You're just an elite athlete, or you're just not running. So I'm trying to get over that stereotype and saying, look, you can run a marathon in 4.5 hours. There's
mhm.
there's no shame in that. You can just shuffle along and enjoy the experience. And you might not be in the best shape, but you train and you can do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So is it a lifestyle for people in Greece? Like, do people just go out and jog, like as for activity, or
You'd be appalled. The birthplace of the marathon. Like Greece is not set up for running. I mean, you see these poor people running in traffic, and it's just not nearly as progressive as the U.S. And that's one of the reasons I'm spending so much more time here. I met with the mayor of Marathon last week. I said, like, you need a footpath along the
Mhm.
beach. I mean, it's Marathon. People should come here to run. But he's not a runner. You'd have to come here, and you'd laugh. Like when you go to Marathon, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to Marathon. Like it's the birthplace of the marathon. It's going to be just grandiose, and there are tour guides, and there's like a hand painted sign, like here's where the Battle of Marathon took place. I'm like, you're kidding. Like this is a worldwide phenomena, and this is it. Yeah. So Greece has got a long way to go. It's kind of endearing in that regard, but it's got a long way to go.
Yeah. Oh,
Mm.
well, I don't want to take up all of your time. There's a lot of people here who have questions for you. So,
Sure.
with that, we'll open it up. So, if you have a question for Dean, like, ask away.
Good morning, Dean. Zach. I just
Is
wanted to thank you personally. I don't think I probably would have tried an ultra marathon without listening to your book. Um, I actually thought it really comical because I was listening to it the first time while I was finishing dental school. And so your stories with your wife going to dental school and the cavities you got from the gels and stuff. I
yeah.
still joke with Eric about that because he and I live close together, so we run quite a bit together.
Uh,
But it's also a good inspiration. I've got four daughters, one on the way. And so your stories with you doing like the having them meet you along the way. I've done quite a handful of ultras now where they've met me at aid stations, and it's just such a joy. It's also very challenging, when your kids are there because you want to make sure that they're having fun and having a good time. You're worried about your spouse or whoever else is there that's part of your family. Um, so I guess not really a question, but I just wanted to thank you personally. I'm so stoked to have
I
you on here.
appreciate Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and fatherhood is an ultra. I admire that you bring the family out, and I admire that you even care how they're doing because it shows you have a lot of compassion, and I think you're an authentic guy, and they're going to sense that. So I think you can't go wrong. I mean, I always put my family first. It sounds like you do, and you want them to be comfortable, and you want them to have an enjoyable experience. So I hope I see them crewing you one day.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to get my oldest to want to pace me.
Huh.
She's only 11, but we did a 10K last year on her birthday together, just the two of
Um,
us. And then my 8 and 5-year-old like to run with me sometimes, but try not to force it on them. But
yeah, you wanted to enjoy it and for it to
yeah,
come naturally. Yeah, yeah. Right on, Zach.
thanks again.
Good connecting with you. Yeah.
Anybody else? Dean? That's
I
great
see
here.
someone in the gym. I'm like, okay.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on too, man. I love your books. And to hear that you're a big Spartan racer, I do a lot of Spartan races too. But I do have a question for you on that because I know in the Spartan race, you run from one obstacle to the next. You got that mental, and you know where you're going. But when you get into like a 50-mile race, it's so easy to just get lost in the miles, and you don't have that next like, oh, I got this obstacle coming up. I just got to get from here to there, and then you can kind of reset mentally. And so how do you make that adjustment? Just kind of not having those obstacles and that those marks just to mile after mile, just to keep the mental focus going there. Because I find I struggle with that sometimes with like the longer races. I'm so used to the obstacles, even though a 50K Spartan might take 9 hours, to where a 50K is only six, but the mental struggle just seems so much more there because you don't have those checkpoints kind of as you go.
I completely relate to what you're saying.
Mhm.
I completely relate. Yeah, no, it's a different mindset. When you're towing the line of an ultra versus a Spartan race, the ultra, you just know it's going to be like mental, really mental, because there's not going to be anything to break it up. You're going to suffer. It's going to suck. And
Exactly.
you've got nothing to look forward to. Maybe the next, aid station or checkpoint, you can get something good to eat. But yeah, no, I relate to what you're saying. And that's one of the reasons I love doing obstacle course races is because of that very dynamic. And in fact, the last Spartan race I did was in Sparta in Greece.
Yeah.
If you ever can get to, yeah, that was
Yeah.
the World Championships. Yeah.
I would have loved. It was World Championships last year. Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
moved into West Virginia this year, but yeah, I would have loved to went there to get my shield, but that just wasn't an option last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
again appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Keep going strong. I'll see you at a race.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm
Oh,
Juana.
Juana, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I appreciate you as well coming in and joining us today. And I've read your book, and I think it's amazing. I don't know how you do what you do, but it's amazing. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I don't know if I'm worthy of thanks, but I'm just doing what I love, it's yeah, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
And of course, running in Greece, it sounds like a dream. I was hearing about your tour. I'm like, how can I do that? Because my goal is to just go places and just maybe run somewhere else. I had a race in Spain recently. It was not the best experience because my nutrition was not the best, but just the fact of being there and doing stuff like that, it's amazing. And Greece is definitely in the bucket list for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's GreekRunningTours.com. Check it out. The running is an excuse to eat. That's what I found. Just get a little exercise so you can enjoy the food and wine. Yeah, and have
That's
it's more about fun.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. I would definitely look into something like that. Thank you so much.
Yes. Be well.
Well, yeah, I don't have a question either, but I was like, oh my God, is Dean. I was like, when Eric says you were coming on, I was like, I have to. Like, some people like to meet like the celebrities like Tom Cruise. I'm like, we'll get to meet Dean in like real kind of life, virtually. And I have a funny story. The first book I read about you was this one here.
Ah,
Yeah, that one. And it's funny because I was like, how in the hell is he doing this? This guy is ridiculous. So I was like amazed. But the funny thing is I bought this book through thrift books. And I don't know why anybody will get rid of a book that was actually signed by you.
Oh, fine.
So the book you signed to Diana in 2008, August 16, 2008. I was like, why would she let the book go? So now I have a signed book from you, but it wasn't for me. So I was like, that was so cool to see.
That's a good story.
Yeah. Well,
Glad
thank you so much for being here. It's amazing.
I'm not worthy, but I
Yes, you
I
are.
appreciate it.
You're
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm just a runner like you. I'm just like you.
All right. Thank you.
Enjoy your day.
I just wanted to say thanks for joining us this morning. I really am enjoying every minute of this. Very inspiring. I am new-ish to running, so I'm a part of this group, and then I start thinking, oh, maybe I can do some of these big things. And then when I go out and run, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can. But I guess either one is okay. But do you have any encouragement for people like me who are kind of starting a little later in life and just kind of testing to kind of see what rhythm might be best for them, if that makes sense at all?
Yeah, I think, look at what you enjoy. If you enjoy like alpine settings, in the mountains, then gravitate toward those sort of races. If you like road races, focus
No.
on road races. No, no problem. Nah.
No.
Do you run with poles? I mean, that's one thing I've really embraced. Like I used to look at people with poles and think, "Oh, that's crazy." And now I love poles. And a lot of
Huh.
races allow them, and you get a great upper body workout. It's more stabilizing. It's confidence to me. It gives you a lot of confidence
Okay.
going to a race. And then, see if you can, what DFL stands for?
Sorry?
Do you know what DFL stands for?
No.
Make it a goal. Look it up.
Okay.
Dead,
Okay.
dead fucking last. Don't mind. Like say, like I'm gonna go to this race. I'm gonna finish dead fucking last, and I'm gonna love it. So don't be
Uh,
competitive with yourself. Just say I'm gonna sign up for a race. Say my goal today is just to finish. I'm gonna
yeah.
finish. Yeah,
That's
something.
easier said than done. I did a training run in December and I kind of pushed myself to get out of my comfort zone. And it turns out I was DFL and it was just a training run, but it was, and honestly, I'm embarrassed to say it really did kind of crush my spirit. Very comfortable being average, but being the slowest, it was kind of a, it not, wasn't kind of, it was a tough pill for me to swallow. And so then I had to really kind of continuing to sort of think about like, where do I, what does this look like for me, And so I I really like running on my own, but I do like the push of other people, but not when they're that much faster than me. That's I don't know.
And don't compare yourself to others.
Uh-huh.
That's a trap that is really tough for
I know it's
anyone.
unhealthy.
Yeah, there's always going to be people in front of you. There's always going to be people that are better, that are getting more awards, whatever. Be happy with yourself. Just,
Yeah.
stand at the starting line and say, today I'm going to try my best. The only way I'm going to fail is if I don't try my best, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to give it everything I got. If I finish, I finish. If I don't, I don't. But I'm going to try my best. And that way, you're a champion either way, no matter what happens. As long as you give it your all, just your all.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I know you're right. It's just
You're competitive. I can.
I gotta do some work on that.
Yeah. I need to be your therapist. Yeah, yeah.
I need
You need
that.
someone to work with. Yeah. No. It's humbling and it's psychologically traumatizing when you get your ass
Yeah.
kicked. It's
Yeah.
happened to me, and I've like reassessed myself. Like, my God, I'm slow. Like, I used to have it. I don't have it anymore. How am I ever going to keep going and this and that? And it's hard. I empathize with you. I feel what you're
Thank
going
you.
through. Yeah, and just remember this conversation and just say, I'm just going to go out there and Dean said, just keep trying, just show up and keep trying, and let the cards fall where they will. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah. I wish you well. Yeah, sign up for a 5K. A
I can do
trail run.
more than that. It's these talking to all of you guys in these big races, and then it's like, oh, that's so exciting. But then, I mean, I'm not close to what you guys are doing, um, but I'm just saying I've had a few moments of kind of realizing how I'm actually doing in life. And on my own, I think, well, I'm really happy running on my own. I am doing my own thing and it is for my own well-being. But those races are kind of what keep me mentally engaged and keep me forward focused. But they're not all or maybe quite my vibe and I really think I am okay just being me, but I really don't like being the slowest. I really just don't. I gotta, I don't want to work on it because that means I have to have more experience being last. I don't want to.
Well, I mean, you don't have to run a 100-mile race. I mean, I've done so much, but I still love just running by myself as much as anything.
Yeah.
I really do. I love to race, but I also, when I go training, it's always by myself. I prefer
Yeah.
running by myself. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Hi, Dean. It's Juana again.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I just heard the most powerful thing you could ever say. The what is it?
DFL.
DFL.
Yes.
Oh my God. I will live by that. Like I said, earlier, I went to Spain for a half marathon and I didn't finish because I collapsed at my own half. My nutrition was
Ah.
not good. I was not eating that whole week, and it hurt me watching the last person cross the finish line. I didn't finish, but the other person did. So I will definitely learn from that, listen to my body and not push so hard. And what you just said right now, that's something that I will live with. And that will motivate me to go out there because I was like, I was a little scared. I'm like, can I still do races? Yesterday I went out for a 5K and I was so worried about my heart because I collapsed and I fainted at that race.
Oh,
I
yeah.
trained for it. I trained for it and I just didn't go well that time. And that one thing that you just said right now brought me back to life. Thank you.
We should start a DFL club.
The NFL club, my endurance, yeah, the NFL club,
I don't think that's very good marketing for me.
right?
You never know, Eric. You might attract a bunch of people like
Yeah,
me.
true.
We all need you.
Sometimes we just need to hear stuff like this, and I appreciate
Yes.
that.
So, well, one of the things that I heard a while back is like, so everybody here, like we're all age group runners, and he's the guy doing the podcast said like, who cares like where you finish? The only person who cares about age group, what how you do in your age group, are people in your age group, you know? And it's like yeah, it's true. It's like we're not finishing top 10, you know, we're not running for any prize money. We're out there for the love of it, you know? So the only person who cares where you finish in your age group is you and the person who you beat, you know, in your age group.
Yeah, I mean, if you're satisfied with your own performance when you cross the finish line, uh, that's that I think that's enough. I mean, who cares who's in front of you? Who cares who's behind you? If you're happy with what you did,
Hmm.
that's enough.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't have to be happy. You can say, ah, shit, I wish I think I had a better race in me. But don't say, oh, that guy beat me and I know I'm better than him, or I think I can, whatever. I just think that if you're satisfied with your performance, that's it. That's all there has to be.
Yeah, that's why they call it a personal best. And, you
Yeah.
know, so one of the things I learned, like, and going back to Julie, is because I do get caught up in like the competitive nature of racing, you know. I used to race dirt bikes, and so it's just like in my blood, like I want to go fast, I want to be good. And then, but with ultra running, like the reason I love it so much is because it's really like the hardest thing I've ever done, you know. And I noticed for me, like it's a tactic or a strategy that works for me is on the longer races, like 50 miler, 100K, 100 miler, I start dead last. And the reason I do that is because I know like it's all going to shake out over the course of the day. And if I start in the front group and I try to keep pace with that front group, you know, by the halfway point, I'm going to be gassed, and then they're going to drop me, and then it's going to be demoralizing. But if I start in the back and I just slowly like pick off people all day long, like it just keeps me going, you know. And then by the end of the race, especially on a 100 miler, like you're going to end up where you're going to end up regardless of where you started. So
I think so. I think that that's a great strategy. It's good for the ego, right?
right, yeah,
Passed another one. I passed another one. Yeah.
uh-huh,
But I mean, what it's like, especially if you run those longer distances. Even experienced people go out way too fast, and I'm just as guilty as anyone. Like I've blown up before because I've gone out way too fast. You get caught up in that adrenaline of the front pack, and your ego's in it, and you're thinking I'm gonna crush this race, and then you remember it's 100 miles.
hmm.
I crushed the first mile, yeah, but it's not a yeah. Mm.
Hey, you can't win the race in the first mile, but you can lose it.
You can lose a lot, yeah.
So, well, Dean, I really appreciate your time, and just everyone's been excited, looking forward to you, since we announced it that we secured a date. Like, I don't know if everybody knows, like me and Dean have been going back and forth for like about a month trying to work out a date. So, again, thank you, appreciate you, and everything,
No, I
for the
appreciate
support.
everyone showing up on Sunday morning. So
Yeah,
it's time to go to church. It's time to go for a run,
yep.
people.
And it's time for
Yeah,
you to have dinner.
yeah, exactly.
So, if there's any last questions for Dean, now's your chance. If not, we're gonna let him uh, get back at it. And just, I do have one last question that I ask every guest that we have on here. In a personal context, What does my endurance life mean to you?
My endurance, it's the spirit of being in life, being engaged with life, and never giving up.
So with that, thank you, Dean. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed every minute of it.
Thanks for having me on, and be well, everyone. I hope we can share some footsteps together. That'd be really great as a group. Yeah, one day.
The Greek tour.
The Greek tour, that'd be even better.
Yeah.
Come on over to Greece, get the whole group over to Greece, and I'll show you a good time. I promise you.
That'd be so cool.
Yes, I'm in for that one.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Dean. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Well,
Thanks,
cheers.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Dee. Thank you, Eric.
Definitely.